and welcome again to On the Marquee. I am your host, John Ballantyne. I think we have a really good show for you today. A lot of times, there have been so many tremendously talented people that have come through the Playhouse, that have gotten the Playhouse to the 100th year anniversary. And unfortunately, many of those people, they move away for different reasons. They get married and move away, they go away for jobs and leave Youngstown. And it's very hard to track a lot of those people down. But our track team of investigators tracked down this lady for us today. And I think you will be glad to see her. If many of you will remember her. And if you don't remember her, I'm sure you have heard her name. But before we get to that, I need to thank our sponsors for today, Joe and Terry Malis. Now, Dana Snyder has been in countless shows and worked on countless shows here in the 70s. Some of her more memorable ones was she was in Mame, she played Gooch. She was in Jacques Brel down in the arena when we had the arena. And she choreographed Fiddler on the Roof. And with that, I would like to welcome Dana Snyder. Dana, welcome.
I hate to start off this way, but you know, my name is pronounced Dana.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I apologize.
And I'll tell you something funny. When I turned 70, I thought, you know, everybody calls me Dana, and it's spelled D-A-N-A, and maybe I'm just going to change my name. So I changed, now listen to what I changed it to, Fiona Phoebe Ferrier. My grandmother's name was Eva Phoebe Ferrier. Mm-hmm. And I now have a whole large group, because I sing with a group in Cleveland, I am known as Fiona, and when I call to make a reservation, I say Fiona, because if I say Dana, they say Diana, Donna, Dana, everything. So you can call me Dana, or you can call me anything, really.
Kind of like Billy Saluga, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
What initially brought you to the Playhouse? What got you here first?
Well, I was married at the time. And my husband bought a drugstore in Girard, Ohio. And so we moved to Girard. I still would return every week back to Salem, Ohio, where I taught dance. And I made a few friends in Girard at that time. And I don't know what it was at the Playhouse, but I just decided to go to the Playhouse, and I auditioned for something that I believe it was called Fifth Season. Oh my gosh, I don't know how I remember that. It was about a man who locked up all of his artwork and wouldn't share it, or something like that. And I had probably a very bad audition, and the director said he invited me to come to the Playhouse in the afternoons, and he would help me do readings. And so it was like private lessons in the theater as an actress. And it was Dean Norton.
Oh, okay.
And so I hope I have the years pretty correct. Soon after that, I began to get pregnant, and I think I was pregnant for the next I have 4 children born in 5 years, so that tells you. Mm-hmm. So that kept me off the stage a lot. Mm-hmm. And although I do remember doing, when I was pregnant with my last child, I do remember doing Ado Annie at Oebsedic Temple.
Okay, yeah. Those were great shows back then.
I had a lot of fun working there too. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was wonderful. And I was pregnant with my daughter Adrian, mm-hmm. and we've made so many jokes about that.
Well, you and I did Mame together. That was in '73, I believe. Now, Fred Childress reviewed that show, and in his review, he said it was worth the price of a ticket to see you and Phoebe Alexander and Carol Schaefer-Mills try and upstage each other. What do you remember about that show?
Well, because of Phoebe and Carol, it was a wonderful show. It was also choreographed by Leo Muller. In fact, he may have directed it. I can't remember.
He might have. I can't remember.
And I think Janice Aubrey played. Do you remember that?
She was in the pit.
And Bob Tornello was in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just wonderful. It was just a wonderful. I have to say, I think that was one of my favorite parts.
Well, you had a great role.
roles, I think
Goose,
it goes
Goose
to
is
say.
such a funny role.
Yes.
She gets to do so much in that show.
Right, right, and she ends up pregnant, and I probably had so much practice at that, I was probably really good at it.
Now, you've choreographed quite a few shows here.
Yes.
When you were on stage, you were usually choreographing. What challenges does a choreographer face in community theater when you're working basically with non-dancers, which most of them are, to get that polished look that you always got from non-dancers?
Well, I would cast them. If I could teach them to do a polka, which is simple 3 steps, I knew I could get something out of them. I recently, my most recent choreography, and that was working at the Beck Center in Cleveland, and which I have a whole group of people from there who always called themselves my resident players too, you know. But no, choreography, well, first of all, you have to take your space. You have to just work on what they do. Sometimes somebody would come in to perform and want to be, but the thing is, you know, in musical theater, it's not just the dancers that dance.
Right.
It's the singers that have to dance. Everyone's got to move. And I would always, like, my mouth would fall open when I would get a hold of a singer who couldn't clap on the beat. But believe me, there were many out there.
Oh,
And I was always marveled at that. And I think I was just very, very lucky because I would get so many talented people. I remember the last thing I choreographed here was for I can't think of it, for Phoebe. And it was about the Che Guevara and what's her name? And Paul designed it, and come on, one of us, let us know who.
I want to say Evita.
Yes, it was, my
was
dear.
Evita? Okay.
It was
Okay.
Evita.
Okay.
Yeah, I told you you'd have to help me. And should I tell him how old I am?
Sure.
Okay. I am 87 years old. And you said the Playhouse is 100 years
Well,
old?
it will be 103 years.
Oh my gosh. I'm almost as old as the Playhouse.
Not quite. You got a
Okay, and I know you asked me that question about dancing, and I think I never gave people too much that they couldn't do. And dancing is so much fun. I just made fun, making sure people were having fun, and I think that was why I was so lucky because people wanted to perform it. And I always say community theater is, and I may have said this to you, is where the audience loves the production, but maybe not quite as much as the community people enjoy being in the production.
That could be. Yeah, very much so.
I think because it's such an outlet. I've always loved community theater. That's why I went to the Beck Center immediately when I went. When I went to Cleveland, I was union, and so there were many places I couldn't do anything, you know. And when I went to Cleveland, I had a responsibility because I was working in a college and had a big dance department and was choreographing for my friend Larry Vincent, who got me to a community college without a degree, I might add. And I was tenured and an assistant professor prior to any degree. I finally then did get a master's degree, but I always think that's my claim to fame. And I've just been a lucky person.
Well, you certainly had
Just
fame
luck.
here.
Sure. I mean, people still talk about shows you did here.
Oh,
Believe me,
good.
they do.
That's wonderful to hear.
Now, a lot of those dancers we talked about were people who started out here as kids in the youth theater and came up through the ranks of the youth theater and went up onto the main stage to do adult shows. What do you feel? And the youth theater used to be real active particularly when you were here.
Yes, my daughter conducted one time in the youth theater.
Yeah.
I don't remember what show it was. Yeah.
What do you feel that the youth theater does for kids and did for kids back then?
Oh, it's such a wonderful outlet. It's because you get to pretend with a group, and you're pretending, and what is at the end is bigger than all of you. You know, but combined, it's wonderful. That's why when I remember, people say, "What do you remember from high school?" I remember my chorus, because we were all there working towards something that was bigger than each of us. And that's why I think I like theater, is because it puts us in a place that we're united, and we're going towards something, and we always reach it with the production, and it's just wonderful working that way with people.
There were some giants of the Playhouse here when you were here. Did you have any mentors that you learned a lot from when you were here?
Well, of course, Dean Norton, and working with Phoebe Alexander was always a great learning experience. Yeah, it was, and I just learned so much, you know, like about Paul was so, Paul Kimple, his artistic ability, whether it was costumes or design or anything. And I carried all that knowledge when I went to Cleveland, and knowing a lot about costuming, which I learned also from Alma Sturkey. I don't know if her name has appeared anywhere, but she was a wonderful costumer, and that Leo Muller and I both became great friends with, and were for years. The other thing is this is where I met Leo. Leo Muller, who became my partner and my dear, dear friend until probably about 10 years ago we lost him. And but Leo then went on to work for Kenley and went on to do lots and lots of choreography. When I met him, he was a professional ice skater teaching.
Oh, was he really?
He was teaching ice skating in Boardman.
Oh.
And the first show we did was Brigadoon with Huey Fagan and Lorraine Santangelo, and there were some high school. Lorraine Santangelo and Joni Musselman were high school people. I don't know if they were ever in youth theater here,
Yeah, that I
but
know.
they were high school kids. David Gendry, he wasn't in that show particularly, but those were people that I knew when they were teenagers, who then went on to become just wonderful performers. I know Joni Musselman went to New York,
Right.
and then I saw her in something in Florida one time. It was a New York production in Florida. And then Billy Saluga, one of the loves of my life. And I still talk to Bill about once every 2 months. And he seems to be doing okay in California.
You talked to him.
I talked to him because of the book. I needed some things for the book.
Yeah.
And he was very grateful. And he sent me like 3 legal pages, handwritten memories that he had at the Playhouse.
Oh,
It was
wonderful.
great, yeah.
Or did he mention my name?
He did.
Oh, thank you. Then he's off the hook. Yeah.
Now, everybody has some great funny stories about funny things that happened on stage, dramatic things that happened on stage, which aren't funny, but, you know. Do you have any memories of things that happened on stage that are particularly you would remember?
No, I wasn't even in this show. I remember a terrible thing. And it was, I think of his name. I can't think of his name. And I shouldn't start to tell stories because I don't have a good enough, fast enough memory to think of him. And so I guess I won't tell the story, but somebody took Man for All Seasons, and somebody took, the man was supposed to eat a cookie or something, and they put powder on it. And it was a terrible story of something but most of the people I worked with just knew to do funny things. I know something I did one time. When I went on the stage to do Take Back Your Mink in Guys and Dolls, I decided a minute before to do it in French. And I don't speak French. So I went out. It cost me a long time to go, and on the following fall, and the orchestra broke up, and I put my leg up on a chair like Marlene Dietrich, and finally then I settled down and did it. And unfortunately, another stupid thing I did was at Kenley, and I was in Maine, and I was going on stage to the Bougainvillea number, which was when she got to Florida and was going to go on the hunt, and we had umbrellas, parasols, and we went on, and I took my parasol. I got my comeuppance, so I got my parasol and I went on the stage like I was blind. And people who saw me. Now that was a terrible thing to do. And when I said I got my comeuppance, it was because the year that I retired from the college in 2000, an artery broke in my head. And what happened? Took 3/4 of my sight.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if it was like being pregnant, I had a lot of practice, or being a little bit blind, which I call myself. Nobody needs to feel sorry for me because I still read. So I just don't see my right hand. And but I had I had rehearsed that a little bit too.
Yeah. Wow.
Does that make me a bad person?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, some of the things that have been done on stage to people are far worse than any of what you just said. The Playhouse it's been a rocky road for the Playhouse, of course, over the years. When you've been around as long as they have, you're going to have those times. What do you think keeps the Playhouse coming back? Why do people keep coming back to the Playhouse like they do? Not only participants, but audience.
Well, for a while, it used to be, if you were in New York, what you would say is the two places you had worked, if you were from the tri-state area, was for John Kenley or the Youngstown Playhouse. I mean, even like when Jimmy Tompkins went to California, he became a designer right away. Why? Because he had done things at the Playhouse. Was familiar to Playhouse. Do you know his name also?
No, well, I've seen the name, but I didn't know.
Yeah, and he was really talented, very talented. Came out with a wonderful game one time using people out of history. I don't know how it lasted, and I don't know how long he did. Because these people, you see them and they leave, but your life has been enriched by them, but you can't keep track of everybody.
Yeah, you can't.
Only at my age, because there aren't so many of us left.
I'm beginning to feel that way.
No.
I need to take a quick break here.
Yes.
I want to thank again our sponsor for the show today, Joe and Terry Malis. Now, you mentioned John Kenley. We both worked for him. Give us a little bit of background on your experiences with John and with Kenley Players.
Well, I went and auditioned for John, and he didn't hire me the first time. These are my experiences with him. He hired Joni Musselman, who I think auditioned at the same time. There were three of us who had just done The Three Princesses of Ababu at the Temple in Kismet with Shai Loxon, I must add. And we went and auditioned for John Kenley. And of course, I had 4 children. And little did he know that I needed a job. And so anyway, but I didn't get hired. but someone during the season broke their ankle. So he called me, and I went over and I did a show for him. And I was hired for 3 shows, and I don't remember all of them. One was Most Happy Fella, where I remember I lost my skirt on stage. There was a big flip over of me, and you land in a split, and the skirt made this beautiful circle, and he picked me up, and there I was with the skirt on the stage. And it was, everybody was laughing, everyone. And I picked up the skirt, and I twirled it, and I danced off stage.
Well, you played the moment.
I did indeed, yes. But anyway, then my dance captain saved me from being pink slipped, because somebody was coming down, because I was hired for these 3 shows. Coming down the hallway, my dance captain walked out and said to the stage manager, "Who's that pink slip for?" And the man from John, who wasn't Manicliditis yet because he wasn't old enough, but anyway, was walking down the hallway, said, "It's for Dana Snyder." And Dom Angelo said, "You're firing your best dancer." Which is not true. Which is not true. Here I am, 5 feet tall, besides all these girls with these beautiful long legs. I was by far not the best dancer. But anyway, kept my job. And so that's how I stayed there with John Kenley, and I was lucky enough to go to John's 100th birthday party, I don't know how many years ago. And I visited him in Cleveland, and he remained great fun to the very, very end. He just was.
He's a good guy.
He was like and unique, just so unique.
I remember we used to do a show here called Evening of Music, in which we would honor people. It was kind of similar to the Kennedy Center honors, and we were going to do John Kenley, so I went to his house to interview him to get material that I needed.
Oh.
And he was fascinating. I mean, it was fascinating to sit in the house and just listen to his life story that he laid out for like 2 hours.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
Now, somebody was supposed to write his life story, Leslie Cutler, somebody who directed for him for a long time. But I don't know that it's ever been, but I understand there is a Kenley email address or a Kenley website or something like that, and probably I know, I can't think of David's last name, somebody just died of COVID who was very active in Kenley. I can't think of
Those were great years.
Yeah, they were just like great fun. And those people have stayed, like I said, the ones that remained.
Mm.
Yeah.
What do you feel the Youngstown Playhouse means to this general area? What has it done for this area? What does it do for just for everybody?
Well, I have such a high regard for theater, and to have an active theater, and then other branches off of it became, there was another theater downtown, and the things that Maureen did. Mm-hmm. And Youngstown Playhouse was first. Yeah. I think we've really planted the seeds to have such a rich art scene in Youngstown, Ohio.
Right.
It was, and my guess is, I wonder if Kenley would have come here if he thought nobody was interested in having more art,
Yeah, true.
I don't know, but it was wonderful in the surrounding communities, like Warren. Mm-hmm. I worked there a couple times, and I think it just is. I don't think that theater is an outlet. I think theater is a must. Mm-hmm. Myself.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing, that Jim and I, living in Cleveland, we saw something live almost every week in Cleveland. And mostly theater, but a lot of dance and the orchestra, of course, but mostly theater. And so we have really noticed now what it's like to that not to be in our life.
I know, we take it for granted when it's there. And
Oh,
then
you
it's
do,
gone.
yeah, yeah.
Now, are there any roles that you wanted to do here that you really never got the chance to do?
Oh, of course. Now I
big
have to
question
think
again.
who it was, and Bye Bye Birdie. I thought, and I think everybody, I don't know who directed Bye Bye Birdie, but I think that everybody thought I was a shoo-in because I was a little sort of Tita Rivera-ish. And, but I think what happened is when the director came, whoever it was, I think maybe so many people maybe mentioned him that it may have been a threat to him. I don't know, or her. I don't even remember. And that I didn't get the role. And I thought, oh dear God, that's terrible. So I've done it a lot at home. And I have choreographed different scenes from it because it was done at my daughter's high school.
Okay.
And so I remember choreographing some of the numbers for the people there. And I, of course, I was in it for John Kenley, and remember playing a teenager, having to be up on this big thing in the very beginning, everybody with a telephone, and it showed all the telephone song, and because I always remember thinking, what if I fall off of this thing, you know, which thankfully I never did.
The Playhouse is moving toward its 100th. Actually, within 3 years, it'll be there. What do you feel that the Playhouse has to do to stay successful as they move forward into the next 100 years?
Oh boy. Just continue its appeal. Now that's not a terrible answer because then you will say, well, what is it appeal? But it's an opportunity. Not everybody's ready for the professional stage.
Right.
And professional theater is not that far removed. I mean, I know in the Cleveland scene, because I'm away from the scene down here, but when you have people you didn't ask me, you asked me what it has to do. What it has to do to remain viable, and
viable.
yeah. It has to remain current. And unfortunately, it has to entice people to support it financially. It's so important to get people financially interested and to be able to explain and show why it is important. And unfortunately, I can't tell them, but I'm sure the people who are that are hired in this wonderful place will be able to do it. Because when I think of all the people who supported it when I was here.
Oh, yeah. And they had a vast number of people.
Oh, they did. The Moyers and
And
Griffiths
The
and...
ticket drives they used to have brought in phenomenal amounts of money.
Exactly, right. And how we spent time on the phone and doing that and think big. I think we're now in a place in our country politically, we're thinking bigger and think big.
Yeah, they're going to have to because support for everything is kind of down right now.
Oh, it is.
Especially because of the situations. But yeah, and it's tough getting going again when you've been dark. You know, they've been dark for over a year now.
Right.
It's going to be tough.
And don't be afraid to have creative ideas.
Exactly.
You know, we can't just keep reinventing the wheel.
Exactly.
And but keep one of those wheels under us.
Yeah, precisely.
Right, yeah.
Well, Dana, I thank you for coming in this morning and making the trip down here. I appreciate it. And It's great to see you again. It's been quite a while.
It's been wonderful to be here. We have a plan when we drive down here. We call our family, the people who are remaining in Youngstown. And so we have a date now at 1 o'clock to meet them for lunch.
Oh,
And
right.
it was all the phone call from today. I said, I'm gonna
Super.
be in Youngstown, and can you meet us? And so my niece in Canfield suggested a place, and everybody can find it. And I grew up in Salem, Ohio, so I still have a sister-in-law and a cousin in Salem, Ohio, so they're gonna meet us. And I have a niece
Oh, that sounds great.
from Salem and from Youngstown and Canfield, and so.
Oh, you're gonna have a big time. That sounds
And,
great.
right, and I guess we're picking up donuts at the Amish place that we.
Oh, they have great donuts. you'll
That's
love
right.
them. Yeah, they have great donuts.
Right, right.
Is this the first time you've been back in the building since you left?
Oh, no. Well, I've come down for different things.
Okay.
You know, I do want to, can I say one more thing?
We had the good fortune about 2 or 3 years ago, I don't know where Jim went. We were in Wisconsin, and I had lunch with John DeMaine.
Oh, okay.
Shortly after that, he lost his wife, I'm sorry to say, but I met his beautiful daughter. And he is just talk about wonderful people who have done wonderful things since they left here. He has the symphony and the opera, and so it's just, and he was great looking. So it was
We've
wonderful.
been trying to get in touch with him for the book, but we haven't had any success.
Oh,
in reaching him.
did you go through the? I can't think of the city.
It's in Michigan, but I can't
No,
remember the city.
no, Wisconsin.
Oh, I'm Wisconsin, I mean. Yeah,
Wait.
that we've sent a couple letters, but haven't gotten.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you what this happens to actors on stage. They call it Helen Keller talking to Helen Keller. It's what? Oh, wait a minute, the phone is ringing.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. And on that note, our time is up, and I want to thank everybody for joining us here we go again, for On the Marquee, and we will see you next time.